Alex, I'm a little bit saddened because this is the last time we're going to be together. It's part three of our interview series.
Thank you, Mark. Great to be back. And I'm sure we could find a way to do a part four or another series at some point.
All right, well, we'll keep that in mind. As security threats become more sophisticated, how would you say organizations can best move from reactive to being proactive in their protection? What advice or recommendations would you give organizations seeking to get more on that proactive side of their security resilience?
Well, this is where we have been a little bit mouths shut, ears open with our biggest customers who have spent millions, sometimes tens of millions on a variety of different security tools. They have large global teams. Some of them have outsourced their security posture to managed security companies. We've listened to them and we've worked a lot with these integrations, these integration partners that we've launched with to figure out what they know and what we know. What do they see and what do we see? And how can we best come together from a technological perspective, from an automation perspective, to make incident management much more automated, much more easy when something does make its way to the storage layer. So for us, bridging that gap in an immediate automated way that allowed the teams that are trained to take security incident response measures and outfitting them with what they need was step number one. So that was our first gap. We were going to go tell the SIEMs and the SOARs and the XDR platforms what we've seen. The second thing was some of those providers, and these are some of the largest security companies in the world. We're really fortunate to work with them. They can tell us, some of these integrations are bi-directional. So they can actually tell us when they're seeing something that they consider to be potentially risky or nefarious, and we can take an action at the storage layer before anything even gets there. Now we're not responding with a very tiny blast radius and instantly recovering. We are officially left of the boom. We are now, the incident never occurred. And that's using their intelligence and our intelligence and capability to act. The third, which we're very excited about, you'll see some announcements here in the next few months, is making the information we understand about users and servers that engage with critical data. We actually see this. This is data we see every single day, every single second, 365 days a year, 24/7. We have a keen understanding of where your critical data is and what users and what servers and what services access that data. So if you think about this from a scanning and patching and upgrade perspective, every single day, the biggest organizations in the world get a list of sometimes hundreds, if not thousands, of environments that they have to go patch and fix and upgrade because of exposed vulnerabilities. What we're going to be releasing here soon is the companies that they rely on, the technologies they rely on to tell them that. We are integrating with those companies and we are bubbling up in a prioritized fashion the 10, 20, 30, or 50 servers or services that are engaging with their critical data. So if you're looking at a list of 1,000 things to go patch and fix, you're not going to be able to go patch and fix 1,000 things. But if you know the 15, 20, or 50 that are actually most dangerous, potentially most dangerous, you're going to prioritize them. And that's data that we have and that we're going to start bubbling up for our customers.
Yeah, no, that's really powerful. I'm thinking about the leverage that will come out of that kind of capability, where we're focusing on the exceptions, not trying to peanut butter the rule out there. Well, as we think about, we're kind of coming to the close of the interview, but before we do wrap up, you've already started to talk a little bit about future forward, and I'm kind of time is really moving quickly. I remember conducting interviews in 2020 and 2021, looking 10 years into the future at 2030. And now 2030 is 5 years out ahead of us. Crystal ball, my question always to close was, can you look into your crystal ball and tell me what you see the year 2030 to bring on the horizon in this particular domain of our interview? In this particular case, to get out 2 years, we're talking 10 years, we're talking 2035. But perhaps given the speed of the time compression that's happening with AI and Gen AI and the consumption of data and the vulnerabilities and the desire to use it and the demand signals for it, Maybe we only need to look out 3 to 5 years in the crystal ball to determine where we're going to be when we get there from the domain of, proactive security uh, in your lens. So look into that crystal ball and tell us what you see.
Yeah, so I look at I agree with you. Looking 5, 10 years out, I wish I had that kind of brain and those kind of gears. I do know people that do, and I just don't have them. But I would like to say in the next, let's say, 2 to 4 years, we're going to see a cybersecurity, a massive cybersecurity benefit from AI. I know a lot of people talk about the fear of AI, and they're right. The fact that things could be just launched instantaneously all at the same time. And if you're not watching for the actual attack, if you think you're just going to be in a recovery mode, that doesn't work when you get hit 7 times in 40 minutes. You can't be in recovery mode all the time. You might be in perpetual recovery mode. So while the risk of cybersecurity threats will increase, we're looking at the AI opportunity as a chance to really not only combat that, but just get better all the way around. In fact, we've got models that we've been training for almost 6 months where we are teaching a model sitting within a customer's environment to be able to detect and predict slow exfiltration or slow nefarious actors that are not just doing something in a 0 day or a one single moment. They're taking their time over the course of days, weeks, and months, and we're learning from this, putting it into an AI engine, and then allowing us to then predict what users, what services, what hosts are most closely fitting the profile of somebody or something that could be doing some damage slowly over time. And that's a difficult thing to be able to predict unless you're looking at a lot of data, a lot of behavioral data, and you're correlating that from a small and a large language model perspective. So we're very excited about taking that and putting that to work within our core platform. And we see it as another way that we can see indicators of compromise, which then allow us to capitalize on the integrations we've built into the SIEMs and the endpoint protection capability providers, because we're outfitting them with more specific data that they can use to correlate and take actions within the domains they control. So this, for us, a combination of leveraging AI, leveraging the integrations that we've launched, helping customers and even managed security providers get smarter and more intelligent more quickly about what's happening in their environment, top to bottom. And the final thing for us is being able to automate as much of it as possible. So as quickly and as quietly as these attacks can happen, we want to just as quickly be able to respond and take advantage of all the automation investments our customers have made. There's no sense in bringing yet another set of tools to the market. And that's one of the things we hear all the time from both customers and partners. We're not showing up saying, here's yet another tool for you to manage. I would bet that there are customers of ours on the security side that actually have no idea we exist. They just know that there's an incident popping up in their SIEM, in their platform, telling them exactly what happened, telling them what the action taken was, and giving them all the information they need to kick off the workflows that they've been trained to go do. None of the security teams need to learn about storage operating systems, and none of the storage and data teams need to learn all about quarantine workflows and investigation workflows in the SIEM and XDR, EDR environments. So it's a nice way to capitalize on, number one, no more tools. Number two, automation. And then number three, capitalizing on the investment and the training that companies have already made to protect their most precious assets. So that'll be, I think, a big part of the next 2 to 4 years, more automation, leveraging of AI to combat increasing threats, and continuing to bridge this gap between security and the most precious endpoint.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. It reminds me of a I don't know, marketing slogan from the early days of Veritas. Well, our early days of Veritas software, when we were focused on utility computing. Remember that?
Remember it.
And we want, worry-free utility computing, which means in today's world, the cybersecurity threat has to be wrestled with in order to ensure that people can have access to their data where needed, when needed, and in the form needed, and that data can be trusted. And the form needed and the use cases that are opportunities today to make use of information to differentiate an organization's performance profile depend on AI and Gen AI, and the pace of adoption and consumption is creating all kinds of additional pressures on securing that information. So having a company like Superna out there solving for some of these problems proactively is a great thing. Thank you so much for the time today. I am so honored to have cross paths again 23 or 4 years in the future.
Likewise, Mark.
It's exciting. Veritas lives again, by the way, so we're all excited out of the Symantec world. Veritas has emerged. I've had the pleasure today, everyone, of spending time with Alex Hesterberg, CEO of Superna, and this has been a great interview. Thank you so much for tuning in, and Alex, thank you for being our guest.
Thank you, Mark.